So next up, we have yet another researcher, Ethereum Foundation rockstar, who's going to be telling us about a life in the day of a beacon chain validator. So let's give a round of applause for Hsiao Wang.
Hello everyone. So today we already have the two wonderful talks talk about the Ethereum 2.0 architecture and roadmap. And my talk is about, I'm Hsiao Wang from Ethereum Foundation Research. Thanks Ben for the introduction. And my talk is about the life of an Ethereum beacon chain validators. So it's about the life cycle and what's the responsibility of the beacon chain validator. So a quick recap of where we are. We already seen that diagram before, and my talk will focus on the beacon chain part. So the beacon chain is a whole new chain here. It has to be joining from the ETH1 chain contract, and it has its own genesis from in the beacon chain. Okay. And that's the roadmap. I will focus on the beacon chain phase 0 and see that what we already have and what we will do. So first question is that why would people want to join the beacon chain and become a validator? The answer is simple because there are incentives of the rewards for the validators to get. So the reward includes that. So first, it's similar to ETH1 miners. To be a validator, you can include as many transactions as you can. So there are two. Currently, we have two types of we call that operations can get the fee from them. One is the transfer, and another one is we call that the attestations. So attestation is you can see that as just votes. You can vote for which block you think that's the valid block. And in this attestations, it includes the aggregated signatures. So, but for the individual validators, they have to sign for some specific attestations. So once you actually sign for that message, you have to be responsible of that. If you sign something that is actually incorrect, you will be punished later. Okay, so that's the attestations. So the validators they can get rewards from include as many attestation as they can. The second rewards from the for the proposers is that they can become the whistleblower. So whistleblower is that. So as I said that some validators, some dishonest validators, they may sign something invalid. So if you are honest validators, you can to report to the other validators that, hey, this guy, he did something very bad and please let's stash it. So once this stashing message be broadcast into the network and then it be included into the block, then the money, the ether from the stash validator will goes to the whistleblower. So that's a mechanism to prevent that people to do the bad thing and to incentive that people to be justice and to make the chain safe. Sorry. And the second kind of rewards is the FFG rewards. So it's about that you are really vote for the correct valid chain of the beacon chain. And there are third type of the reward is, we call that the cross-link rewards. Cross-link is the link between the SHA chain and the beacon chain. So when the attestation, the validators, they make attestation. At the same time, they also make cross-link. So this cross-link will link to the SHA chains and to attest that which SHA chain you are validate, and is that which the block of the SHA block is valid in your view. So those are the 3 types of the rewards in our current spec that can make the validator to get reward. And now you know that why we want to become a validator. And second question here is that how to become a validator. So how to join the staking? So there will be a special contract on the ETH1 chain. We call that the deposit contract. So every user, they can make a deposit of 30. Right now it's the 32 Ether to this special contract. And after they make deposit, the validators can watch the logs, the event logs from the ETH1 deposit contract, and once the deposit already be mapped into the contract, it will emit a special logs. So once the validator, they can be a light client of the ETH1 chain and then listen and watch these logs to see if my deposit has already been accepted in the ETH1 chain, and also if other validators are joining the new chain. Okay, so if there's a lifecycle graph that we assume that the validator already be a deposit from in the ETH1 chain. And also we have to make sure that it did deposit enough balance and it's ready to be active. Well, note that not the validator doesn't be active immediately once they deposit. They need to wait for right now it's the 25 minutes, at least 4 epochs time to be activated. Then the third part is that once the validators are activated, they become, we call that they are the active validators. And the active validators will be added into a long validator registry list. Please know that it has to be one single huge list because we are going to make the pseudo sampling from the one single validator pool. That's as we talked about that previously, this very important in the beacon chain component is the randomness. The randomness provide to us have the ability to make pseudo randomly sample of by the shuffling function. And the third part is that what should the validator do in this context? So right now I only talk about is the responsibilities in phase 0. They have 2 main jobs to do. The number 1 is they have to propose a valid beacon block. And second thing is that it has to create attestations. So this is the current architecture, current data structure of the beacon block we have. There are 2 notable things in the block body. One is the Rendell review. In ETH2, we now use the Rendell to provide the randomness in the system. And every proposer, when they propose their block, they have to provide their own Rendell review, and that will be the part of the entropy to create the randomness seed. That's how the randomness goes. And the second part is that they have to choose the best fold of the ETH1 chain reference. That's the link between the ETH2 chain into the ETH1 chain here. So the as I said, that the validators of the beacon chain validators, they have to be kind of the like client of the ETH1 chain. That's the link between them. And also they have to include the beacon operations in the beacon block bodies here. Now we have different types of the operations. There are the list is like proposer, stashings, the stashing messages, and attestations. Also, the deposit message has to be included here, and then we have the how to guarantee exit. It will be messaged in here. Okay. And the second important thing is to create attestations. The attestations message has 3 parts. Thanks for the refactoring by Danny. It's much more better now if you are client devs. And they have 3 parts. That one is the they will have to vote for 3 things. One is they have to vote for the ETH1 chain block, and second one is that they have to vote for the beacon block, and third one is the SHA chain block. We also call that the crosslink. So yeah, so you can see that because the beacon chain validators, they are in the core layer between the main chain, the ETH1 main chain, and the SHA chains. So they have to be the bridge between them. Okay. And the incentive is not only the rewards. There are also the stash to the dishonest validators to improve them from being malicious. There are different types of the penalties. One is the FFG penalties. So if the validators they contribute to the FFG finalizations penalty, they will get rewards. But if they didn't, they will get punished. Then there's also the inactivity leak stashes penalties. That's for that if the chain doesn't being finalized normally, that's because like maybe we didn't get the threshold like 2/3. So that time we will punish the validators that they didn't do their job well. Third part is the crosslink penalties. It's similar to the above, but it's focused on the SHA chain votes. And there are also the 2 types of the slashings. One is for the proposer and another is for the tester. So, yeah. And also the proof of custody gain penalties. So after me, Justin will talk about that deeper. Okay, then let's see the validator charm. And it's driven by the total balance here. We have some calculations functions that to calculate what's the max balance charm we have right now. So right now in the version 0.51 spec, there are 2 queues in the last spec. One is the activation waiting queue, and another is the withdrawal queue. But there are work in progress PR here by Vitalik. His suggestion we can use the exit queue instead of the withdrawal queue here. Okay. And then once the validators are being active, doing their job, but what about one day they just don't want to do it anymore? They want to exit. What can they do that? Yes, good news is that we have the voluntary exit message here. So the validator, they can send the voluntary exit operation to the network, and if it's it will be a message that be included by the block proposer. And about the withdrawal that most people care about, unfortunately, in phase 0, we only can make them into a withdrawable state because for now there's no state machine in the beacon chain. But good news is that in phase 2, we will make them withdrawable from withdrawable state to withdrawn. And the validator index will be recyclable here. Okay, so let's see the diagram again. So now the validators are already being activated. And there are 3 types of the fast that 3 types of the routes they might do. One is that they might get slashed. And if they get slashed, they will be exit too. So you can notice that to stable the validator, to stabilize the active validators, the size of the active validators should be kind of stable. It can be updated too frequently for the network security. And then so that's why the validators don't churn immediately. They have to wait for a while time, and then they got slash and exit state. And then after like 36 days, they got withdrawable state. And the second type is that they may got ejected because they don't have they don't have sufficient balance in their account. So that's a similar case that they will wait for 4 epochs, 25 minutes, and they got unstashed, but they exit. And then wait for a while to be in the withdrawable queue, and then they can get withdrawable state. The third part is the voluntary exit case. But please note that the diagram might be updated later after the work in progress PI be merged. So that's what the current validator status would be transition. Oh, and also the unslashed and exited state might be go up to another path because of while they are waiting for being exit, something might change between when they are waiting for. Okay, and I want to talk about that some computation and network requirements in our current system here. So as Vitalik already mentioned that the worst case is that we have like 4 million validators in the beacon state. So imagine that 4 million validator in a single array, and we want to make the community shuffling of this 4 million array. So it takes time, and also we have to improve the beacon state cache management, of course, because to update the state of the validators would be hard than in the huge case. Another issues here is the networking propagation. So we have different types of the messages, like the beacon block, the attestations, and other transactions. So some of this message needs to be broadcast to the whole beacon chain universe. But maybe some messages like the attestations, it only needs to be broadcasted to the shard network, we call. So imagine that we have like 1024 shard chains. Each shard chain has their local messages for the shard blocks, and attestations has to be aggregate in the shard block network, because if we broadcast all the message to the whole network, it will be too noise in the network. And also, as we said that we want to stable the shard chain validator shoveling, but for the security, the validators has to be assigned to different shard committee after a while. So, but also it doesn't happen frequently. It still needs time to, like I have a validator in the shard 1, I want to switch to shard 2. But when I want to do the switch between the networks, I have to sync from the shard chain 1 to shard chain 2. So how to do the fast sync immediately? That's a question we are going to think about deeper. And the third part is the BOS signature aggregations. So right now we expect that it will be like 128 validators in each committee. But if we think about the worst case, there'll be 4 million validators. So do the basic calculations. In the worst case, that there will be like 65,000 of the individual signatures per second. So of course now we need to aggregate the signatures. So that's another hard question in engineering that we want to solve. And if you are interested in the BOS, there are the working progress spec, but we are going to but it's another version, and we want to standardize this in the few months. And speaking of the stabilizing the specs, we have there are 3 main kinds of the specs. One is the phase 0 specs, including the core, the serialization, the SSZ, and BOS signatures. There are also 2 other work in progress things in our mind, but there is the networking specs. Thanks from the Matt from Qualcomm, they are very helpful for us. And also the validator interface spec that we are thinking about it. So yeah, that's what we are working right now. So if you are interested in contributing, I'm happy to chat with you on the Gitter. And also I'm working on the Trinity, the Python client implementation here. Thank you.